Good morning. My name is Neinzel Rasmussen. I'm the founder and executive director of Honor 365. Thank you so much for all of you being here this morning. This is a special occasion for us, and I'll explain a little bit more about what's involved with what we have going on. We would like to welcome you here to the Orem City Cemetery, specifically the Lest We Forget Memorial. This is a special place for all of us, and it's a solemn and sacred place that helps us remember and honor our veterans. We are here to commemorate the 20th anniversary of 9/11 and to pay our respects to our fallen heroes in our nation and in the great state of Utah. We are humbled to have the opportunity to represent the United States of America as we begin the nationwide tour that is beginning in Provo today, in addition here for Orem. I would like to extend our deepest gratitude to Governor Spencer Cox and his staff, including Mr. Gary Harder, who's with us today as a representative for the governor, the city of Orem, and the city of Provo for supporting us in our efforts. We know how important it is to have the support of those involved with this nationwide tour, and it's a number of volunteers that are here and others that have supported what we do as a nonprofit organization to do what we do. We extend our warmest welcome to those honorees and those families who are with us today. We recognize the sacrifices of our fallen heroes and their families to help protect and defend our great nation. We would like to recognize the Utah Military Academy Cadets from Lehigh who are presenting the colors today. It's really neat for us to have them here with us today as they are the rising generation that are here, and we know that they'll be the next individuals that will be protecting our great nation. Our national anthem is going to be sung by the South County Quartet. If you could all please stand and uncover as we begin this program today with an opening prayer by Chaplain Gary Schwartz by the Department of Utah, the American Legion, and then we will follow with the presentation of colors and the national anthem. Thank you.
Oh God, our Heavenly Father, we pray that you will be with us here today at the beginning of what will be several months of remembering and honoring all those who perished almost 20 years ago when an attack unequaled in our nation's history took the innocent lives of nearly 3,000 people on September 11, 2001. Please bless all those speaking and participating in today's program, as well as the individuals that often in the background go unseen that make these events possible. Dear God, as we remember the innocent lives, we ask for continued blessings on the lost firefighters, police officers, medical and other first responders, the Port Authority personnel, and so many, many others who lost their lives. That terrible day, we also witnessed something distinctly American, ordinary citizens rising to the occasion and responding with extraordinary acts of heroism on which many gave their lives so others might live. And God, please bless family members and friends of those whose lives were lost with the knowledge that their loved ones surely occupy a special place in eternity. God, we also ask for your blessings for the veterans and their families who have sacrificed so much during these past 20 years. Over 2 million Americans have put on our nation's uniform, with over 50,000 suffering injuries and 6,000 giving the ultimate sacrifice. May those of us that lived through and witnessed this horrible event never forget, and may we be the witness and the voice to the upcoming generations that follow, to always remember the many sacrifices not only on that day, but for the many years to follow. And God, may the hosting organization Honor 365 and their associates responsible for this amazing 20-year tribute and almost year-long event travel safely, and may your continued presence watch over and protect them is our prayer. Amen.
Amen. Stand by. Colors. Color guard. Attention. Cut. Right shoulder. Arms. Colors. Ready. Cut. Arms. Arch. Eight and arms.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting here and there, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Colors. Order. Colors. Right. Take. Order. March. Polygon. Halt. Colors. Order. Colors. Polygon. All out.
You can all be seated. We would like to welcome Mr. Gary Harder, Executive Director, to say a few words. He's with the Department of Veteran and Military Affairs, and say a few words on behalf of the Governor's Office. Following Mr. Harder, we will hear briefly from Mayor Brunst from Orem City, and then Mayor Kafusi from Provo City. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Nigel. As the qualifying word for those of you who heard me before is a few comments. Overall, I'm delighted to be able to be here on behalf of Governor Cox. It's tremendous. Mayor, this is a beautiful facility. Mayor Kafusi, always great to be with you. Certainly, Nigel, all the things that y'all do for Honor 365, because this isn't her only job or her only passion. She's involved very much with many of the veteran service organizations. We cross paths on a number of different activities overall. The members of her organizations have passion in their hearts for veterans and those who wear the uniforms of our nation, as well as our first responders throughout. So we really want to appreciate and thank you for asking me to come here today. This is Gary Schwartz. You framed it very well in your opening prayer. We all know that day, that horrible day on 9/11. But what came out of that, though, was resiliency at the end of it that we experience still today. The American spirit was strong, even as we all watched that unfold on that fateful day. I myself was in D.C. When that happened. I was across the river from the Pentagon, down going to a year-long school, and we could look to the west when we were made aware of it, and you looked out and you saw the smoke and the flames coming out of the Pentagon as well. And then shortly thereafter, we heard what had happened up in Pennsylvania, and that had been preceded by what happened in New York City. And we all know that very horrific day. When we were finally released later that day to go home, I was living down in about 15 miles outside the city. We went past the Pentagon each and every day on my way back and forth to our studies, what we were doing. For those of you who've all been in D.C., the artery that comes past the Pentagon is iconic. It's one of those you think about when you think the Washington Monument and the Capitol and the White House and the Lincoln, and you think about the Pentagon. And anybody who's flown in, you go right past it. But to go past it that day on that major artery and to see it, essentially everybody evacuating out of there and the smoke and the flames coming up Our immediate thought as military officers, as those in the military, was, what can I do to help? We want to go. We want to be there. We were under attack, and our training is we respond. We go to the sound of the guns, and that's what we wanted to be able to do. Obviously, that was not what we were asked to do that day as well, but to go past it and then to look back on it and seeing the destruction of the Pentagon, and certainly our heart felt for all those, we didn't know the numbers, but we knew quite a few had perished on that day across our great country as well. But I want to talk about the resilience as well. Come backing about 3 days later, we came back. And as we came back, as you come up over the rise, as you come past Henderson Hall and Fort Myers, as you come on down, you see the Pentagon, the river, and the city laying out in front of you. And it had been silent before that. The planes weren't running. There was a lot of movement around, wasn't happening in the city. But we heard horns honking. And we were like, what's going on this major artery coming in? And what it was is, if you all remember, with it, our first responders had hung the flag of the United States on the Pentagon. And to see that flag hanging there, and people on their horns, their arms raised out their windows saying, yes, this will not define us. This attack will not define us. What will define us is the resiliency of our American spirit. That will define us. We are united as a country, and we're moving forward. There was an interesting documentary that was done just after that, and it started out with showing on September 10th, people from the Pentagon came to work. They're coming off the metro station, they're coming to the buses, they're coming out of their slug lines. For any of them in DC, you know what I'm talking about with that as well. Then it said, then there was September 11th. But the next one talked to the American spirit and talked to the resiliency. It said on September 12th, the members of the employees of the Pentagon came to work. And that's the spirit that we're celebrating here today. It's hard for me to realize, as Nigel was just saying, 20 years this September since that day. And I think it's just terrific that we have this celebration going across the country, and it's starting here, and it'll stop a couple more times in Utah, and it'll find its way back to September. It'll be back into the New York City area as well. But I want to honor all those who have served, like Gary said in his prayer. I want to honor all those who currently serve. I want to honor all of our first responders. And I certainly want to honor all of our family members. I was able to serve in the military, as many others in this audience were, as also as first responders, but we never serve alone. We have a family that supports us overall. Sometimes they are the unsung heroes, and we really do appreciate them. And I know I'm going to be honored to give some recognitions in just a little bit as well, but certainly I do want to thank our mayors, 365, and all who honor 365, and all who have anything that all came together to have this beautiful ceremony, to have the celebration that's ongoing, and to recognize that we are not alone. We are all supported by many who selflessly give of themselves. Governor Cox has signed a declaration, and I got to move just a little bit. Whereas on September 11th, 2001, we came together as a nation to mourn the lives lost in the terrorist attacks at the World Trade Center in New York City, New York. Whereas on September 11th, we came together as a nation to commemorate Patriot Day, to memorialize the 2,977 victims of the terrorist attacks and all those who responded to this tragic event in history. Whereas 2021 marks the 20th anniversary of September 11th, 2001. Whereas Honor 365 reaffirms the importance of recognizing the sacrifices of our nation's fallen heroes by conducting a nationwide tour with a 9/11 World Trade Center exhibit that was gifted to Honor 365 on behalf of the United States of America by Dan Van Dern Stein, creator from during the Netherlands. Whereas 3 Utahns died during the attacks of 9/11, including Mary Alice Wallstrom and her daughter Carolyn Berg, who were aboard American Airlines Flight 11
when it was hijacked and flown into the World Trade Center North Tower. And Brady Howell, who was a Utah State graduate interning in the Pentagon when Flight 77 crashed into it. Whereas 62 members of the Utah Task Force 1 responded to Ground Zero to help in the efforts of recovery and rebuilding. Whereas Honor 365 Fallen Hero Network, U.S. Honor Flag, and Dan Van Dernstein, along with the world, are honored to have the opportunity to recognize the services and sacrifices of so many who defend and protect our freedom in America daily. Whereas we respect those who serve our great nation as they continue to demonstrate resilience, courage, and commitment. And whereas we proudly recognize the patriots of our nation and those who honor the fallen throughout the world. Now, therefore, I, Spencer J. Cox, Governor of the great state of Utah, do hereby recognize Honor 365 and all of those supporting their efforts to always be remembering the one, remembering them all. Signed, Spencer J. Cox, Governor.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here to celebrate and remember what happened 20 years ago and all those who gave so much for our country. I'm thankful to Honor 365 for what they are doing and going across the nation to remember this. I love the slogan, remember the one, remember them all. It's with great gratitude that I think back on what happened that day to all the citizens, to all the first responders, to all the fire and police and EMTs, all the people in the hospitals who worked so hard to help with the tragic events of that day. And it's interesting to note that not only many lost their lives who sacrificed that day to help, but many are still suffering today. Many of the first responders who went there had to inhale the smoke and the ash and the fumes, and their lungs are still suffering from that. Many have died over the 20 years from what they suffered that particular day. As I think back on what happened, I think back that the terrorists shook the foundations of some of the tallest buildings in our country, but they did not shake the foundation of freedom of our land. They destroyed some of the steel girders of those tall buildings, but they did not destroy the steely resolve of the Americans to keep our liberties and to keep our land free. I'm thankful for all those who have sacrificed so much and pray that we might always honor and remember. And as the sign behind me at this great memorial, may we never forget, may we always remember those who sacrificed so much that day. 2,977 individuals died that day, and many are still suffering as we speak. May we always honor them. Thank you.
It's a weird world when you forget to take your mask off, right? We've gone a little bit, yeah. First of all, I love being in our sister city, Orem. It's always a pleasure and honor to be here with Mayor Brunst and the citizens of Orem. In our office, we call Orem part of Provo. We call it our South Bench, and we kind of claim it. So it's a great city, and I appreciate you hosting us. I want to thank you to everyone here today and to everyone who has helped make today possible, particularly the good people behind Honor 360. As I stand before you today, the only role I could possibly feel comfortable in is humbly offering my respect and gratitude to those who we are here to honor. That includes both those who are mentioned by name and all of their comrades through the ages. Each person we honor today chose to make the safety of others their personal focus and aim. Whether as a soldier, firefighter, police officer, emergency medical staff, or a dispatcher, each of us and each of these individuals has made sacrificing for the public good a part of their daily life. To each honoree, we know you had easier pathways you could have followed. Instead, you chose to step up and help others. Thank you for fighting some of our fiercest battles for us. Thank you for choosing a path that required you to see things and hear things that most of us would rather never see or hear. Thank you for shielding us, protecting us, and aiding us. Each of you is worthy of our deepest respect, and we honor every one of you. But of all those honored today, there is one I know far better than the others, who is dearest to my heart. Provost Police Master Officer Joseph Shinners. Officer Shinners represented the best of our community. Even before joining our police force, he was an outstanding human, beloved by anyone fortunate enough to know him, and basically anyone with a sense of humor and no chip on their shoulder. He was a fun-loving, energetic dad who had served a mission in a foreign land and started an adorable little family and married his sweetheart, Kaylin. He also represented the best in law enforcement. He quickly earned the respect of his peers and supervisors. Yes, he was likable. Yes, he had a fun-loving side that brightened the day of even the crustiest old-timers. But he was also entirely dedicated to the work of policing. And he backed down from nothing. His own safety was the furthest thing from his mind when it came to serving and protecting others. Greater love hath no man this, that a man lay down his life for his friends, for his neighbors, and for us. I don't wish that experience of having one of your police officers shot on any mayor. I'll never forget that middle of the night doorbell ring, and then knock, and then ring, and then my boys running up the stairs, panicked because there were police officers on my front door. It's a horrible thought and feeling to know that one of the people that work for you and that are near and dear. I love my first responders and they know it, and I love my police department and they know it. But to have my chiefs, both my fire and police, on my doorstep in the middle of the night to tell me I had lost one of my officers was a horrible experience. And I truly don't wish that on anyone. So thank you, Officer Shinners, who is being honored today, and thank you, Joseph, for giving us the highest and greatest gift of love. Through moments like this, we are grateful to ponder and celebrate that amazing love you have shown. And thank you to all our honorees, all of you who have chosen a path of selfless sacrifice for us. All of it is a gift to us, and we are grateful for it, and I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harder, Mayor Brunst, and Mayor Kafusi, and thank you for being here today. It means a lot to us. Honor 365 has a program called Remembering the One, and this year, to commemorate the 20th anniversary of 9/11, our tagline for the 9/11 exhibit that is going on a nationwide tour is Remembering the One, Remembering Them All. For 2021, in every city that we go to, we are holding honor walks like today, and this is the first one today, and it's opening here in Orem, and I'm really proud of the fact that it's Utah that we get to start in. Honor 365 is headquartered here, and it's really a privilege and an honor to be able to do this on behalf of this state. The other part to this is the exhibit that's on full display today down at the Provo Town Center, and I'll go into that in a minute. At the honor walks like today, we have 8 to 12 honorees that we honor in each city that we go to. We're now going to present the honorees local to this area. We thank Governor Cox and Mayor Kafusi for being willing to help us to honor those we are remembering and honoring today, as well as Mayor Brunst, who will be handing out the challenge coins that are part of this 20th anniversary. And so we'll start with our fallen military person for Mr. Cody Taus, and the representative for Cody Taus, if he is or she is here. And if for some reason they're not here, we'll do accordingly, but come on up if you're here. So we're going to just give a brief bio for each person. Cody Taus, Elk Ridge, Utah. Cody was an Army medic who was deployed to Afghanistan. He lost his life attending the wounds of a fellow soldier, and we honor you, Cody Taus. Our next honoree is Chris Cage. Chris Cage is our fallen firefighter that we are representing today. He is from Cottonwood Heights, Utah. Chris was a firefighter and paramedic for 31 years and a member of Utah Task Force 1, the task force that responded to 9/11/2001. Chris passed away August 30th, 2020, this last year, from cancer as a result of his efforts at Ground Zero. Our next honoree is Joseph Shinners. Of course, we know, as Mayor Kafusi talked about, from Provo, Utah, Master Police Officer Joseph Shinners was a hero as he gave the ultimate sacrifice for the community he served. He was an officer for 3 years with the Provo Police Department. The next 6 are all those who are living and currently have made great contributions to the state of Utah. Master Sergeant Gordon L Ewell, who is retired, served a notable 24-year career and has been marked with distinction through notable accomplishments and awards that render him an excellence and example to others. Our next individual is Colonel Paul D. Stoneman, retired from Salem, Utah. Paul is a retired physical therapist who worked with amputees at Walter Reed Hospital. He has co-authored several articles on developing therapy for our wounded military. Our next honoree is a living firefighter, Sarah Damian. Sarah Damian is from Pleasant Grove, Utah. Sarah is one of the few female firefighters in the area. She was voted Employee of the Year by her fellow firefighters in 2018. Our next honoree is living police officer, Sean Bell. Sean Bell, Utah County Sheriff Deputy and a Marine Corps veteran. Deputy Bell has worked in law enforcement for almost 30 years. He was recently featured in the Daily Herald for his efforts in an incident of a house fire in Goshen. Our next honoree is what we call living EMS, Terrence Brian Riley. He's from Payson, Utah. Born in East Meadows, New York, as a young man, he watched his dad volunteer as a firefighter. After graduating high school, he became an EMT and later was certified as a firefighter, earning his bachelor's degree in emergency services. Terry has served as a police officer for 24 years and has also served at Payson Fire Rescue. Terry is currently the assistant fire chief over the EMS division. And our last honoree, Cindy Mason Lamp from Salem, Utah. Cindy started her career as a 911 dispatcher with Springville PD and then was with the Utah County Sheriff Department for 27 years. She retired to take care of her terminally ill husband. After his death, she continued to work 10 more years with the Sheriff's Department as a transportation secretary. Thank you so very much for being with us today. This is such a special time for everybody here. One last thing I want to just share with you. 3 years ago, I was at the Women's Memorial at Arlington National Cemetery. And at that time, I was standing at Area 60, where the 9/11 Memorial is placed, where you can look out across Area 60 there at the Arlington. And looking out across is the Pentagon. It's quite the display there if you've been there. It's a very special and sacred place, as we know if you've ever been to Arlington National Cemetery. And at that day, I was greeted by General McWilliams, who retired, who led us on an honor walk that went around the entire perimeter of Area 60. And we ended at 9/11 Memorial there. It was a very transforming day for me as a veteran myself, but also on behalf of the United States of America that I love so dearly, as I know all of us do. And we stood there and we had this honor walk, and then we heard taps played. And today we have 2 tap players who are doing the echo taps today. And I'd just like to let you know who they are. There's Maren Christensen. She's an honorary member of Post 68 here in Department of Utah with the American Legion. And then we also have Marcy Harris, who's a member of Post 28, Department of Utah, the American Legion. Thank you so much for being here. It means so much.
How about another round of applause for Honor 365? Wow. Speaking of honors, I want to thank you for the honor it was to have that police escort today on the way to the cemetery. They were behind me. I got pulled over. But anyways, the reason is I was in such a hurry to get here. I was so excited to be part of this here today. I stopped by my house because I said I must bring something special here to this today, and that's right here in my pocket. Right here. This is a piece of the slurry wall of the North Tower. I had the honor of being able to carry this all the way from Florida, all the way across the country and here to Utah. So that the big piece of this is actually at Fort Douglas. But the lady who salvaged that rock, that piece of the slurry wall, which you can see at the 9/11 Memorial, is that big wall that keeps that Hudson River from coming up underneath the World Trade Center. This sits in my office, and I remember first time I sat there, it was in March of 2001 on my honeymoon. I said, I'm going to New York. And I stood there with my wife. Paid our respects. I'm grateful for the sacrifices. And I'm so honored to be able to sing this song. You know, as I look at this rock, I think of my friend Scott Shrimpy, who was with me. He was with FDNY, Squad 41. And he told me that he was there. In fact, he had to switch out a stereo system in his truck that day. So he switched out with one of his buddies from Squad 41. Well, as he was going to get his stereo system put in place, he heard what was going on. He says, I've got to go. He ran down there just to Ground Zero just in time to watch the North Tower collapse right on top of him. He jumped underneath the car. He said, I had to bounce that car off my chest to get out from underneath it. But he was there for 3 days searching for his men. They found one of them. In fact, when they found him, he grabbed this yellow spray paint, and he spray painted SQ41 in honor of his buddy that he had lost. And as they cleared the rubble, FDNY and NYPD and others said, wow, that's a good idea. We'll spray paint our logos on here too. Little did he know that in that spot where he found his man, that was the last beam to be removed from Ground Zero. So when you go to that museum, you see in yellow spray paint, SQ41, remember the man of Squad 41. With that, I'd like to sing a song that was written by Senator Orrin Hatch and Janice Cat Perry. This was written on an album just after 9/11, and I felt this was appropriate to sing today. It's called Heal Our Land. Heal our land and grant us peace today. Strengthen all who lack the faith to call on thee each day. Heal our land and keep us safe and free. Watch over all who understand the need for liberty. Heal our land, and guide us with thy hand. Keep us ever on the path of liberty. Heal our land, and help us understand that we must put our trust in thee. If we would be free. Heal our land, oh, please help must find our way, for in thy word we find our strength if we reach up each day. Heal our land and fill us with thy love. Keep us upon the path of truth that comes from heaven above. Heal our land, and guide us with thy hand. Keep us ever on the path of liberty. Heal our land, and help us understand that we must put our trust in thee, put our trust in thee, if we would be free. Protect us by the power of thy rod, and keep us as one nation under God. Heal our land, and guide us with thy hand. Keep us ever on the path of liberty. Oh, heal our land, and help us understand that we must put our trust in thee, put our trust in thee, if we would be free. God bless America.